All right, so we know that consumer debt has reached all-time highs, $14.1 trillion in 2019. But I want to break that down to see what types of debt have been contributing to that all-time highs. And what I like really about this part of the article is that it goes ahead and organizes the types of debt almost, I just see one that's a little bit out of order, but almost in order from greatest to highest, or greatest to highest, from the greatest amount of debt to the lowest amount of debt. All right. And so, first one up, and this shouldn't come as any surprise, it's your mortgage. A person's mortgage. So, in terms of consumer debt, mortgages make up $9.6 trillion. And the reason I say it shouldn't come as any surprise is because for most Americans, their home, if they've purchased a home and they have a mortgage on that home is their largest, most valuable asset that they have. Right? Unless your name is Warren Buffett, and you still live in the home that you bought for $150,000 way back when, your home is going to be your greatest asset. And so with with a lot of Americans going out and buying homes and getting mortgages on their homes, that's a lot of real estate and a lot of valuable assets. And so the mortgage debt, which people use to finance the purchase of that home, because, in the Houston area, average price of a home is probably around 250,000 or so. Not many people have that in cash to go out and buy it. So buy it outright, at least early on in their lives. So going out and getting a mortgage so that they can finance a home and have a place to live, that just, it does make some financial sense there. All right. So next up, and this is kind of a millennial result and now Gen Z result, student loans. Okay, student loan debt at an all-time record high of 1.4 trillion. There was an article out, I don't remember when, but right before the Obamas entered the White House in 2008. I want to say that this article said that they just finished paying off their student loan debt, right? And they had graduated a couple decades before and winning the presidency there. But student loan debt is at an all-time high. And the reason I say it's a millennial and Generation Z is because, we're the ones that have the most student loan debt, right? And it really does depend on where you go to college and how much time you spend in college. As I said in the video before, colleges have been raising their tuition by about 6% on average, 6% a year, for the last couple decades. And let's say the cost of attendance is $30,000 for a bachelor's, and that includes housing, tuition, all the fees that you pay, books, food. That's $30,000 for a state university, not to mention a private. Like private, you can just double the figures that I'm giving you for states. $30,000 over 4 years, that's $120,000. And then if you do private, that's even more. And that's only for a bachelor's. If you decide to go to a graduate program, I was looking at one point, I was looking at Georgetown Law for an LLM in taxation, and it was a 1-year program. Cost of tuition, $70,000. I'm rounding up, right? $70,000 for a 1-year program. And last I checked, if you go to law school, that's a 3-year program. Some private law schools, cost around $45,000 a year. So you're looking at, or you can go higher than that too. I think SMU was last I checked was like $40,000 a year. And so 3 years at $40,000, you're looking at close to $150,000 there. So college can really add up, and so it shouldn't be a surprise that student loan debts have really increased that much. Okay. Next up is auto loan debt. This is one of those debts that I have a hard time reconciling as being necessary for a lot of people. It seems like you have for some people, you get a car that you have to finance that you don't have the ability to pay off immediately if you needed to, and you finance it like this, that you may be reaching, right? You may be getting a car that really you can't afford, but it seems like you can afford because of a low monthly payment. And the reason I really don't like auto loans too much is as soon as you drive that new car off the lot, the value of that car drops a lot. It starts to depreciate a lot. So you buy a $40,000 car, brand new. You drive it off the lot. If you wanted to sell it, now that it's used, you may have to sell it at $37,000. That's a $3,000 a drop. So I really don't like it. Auto loans, right? But that's at $1.3 trillion. Okay. Credit card debt. Okay, it's called revolving debt. That's hit a record high of 800 billion. Home equity lines of credit. Those are similar to mortgages, except a home equity line of credit, you already have the house, you already purchased it. Maybe you paid off your mortgage and you decide to take a loan from the bank using your house as collateral, meaning if you don't pay it off, the bank collects your house. And you're using that money to renovate your house, maybe remodel the kitchen or something like that. Okay. Personal loans, those are just general personal loans. Tends to be a higher interest rate, similar, not as high as credit cards necessarily, but higher than mortgages or autos. Okay. And then retail debt, credit cards. That I guess you could really combine this category with this one here. All right. So just in general, what happens with these different types of accounts if you fail to make your payments, if you stop paying back the debt? Well, with a mortgage, the mortgage is called a secured debt because if you fail to pay your mortgage, the bank takes your house in what's called a foreclosure, right? So let's say you had a $250,000 mortgage. The house is now valued at $300,000 because not always, but real estate tends to appreciate in value, to increase in value over time. But we found out 2009 that's not always the case. You got to watch out for bubbles. Okay. But let's say $250,000 mortgage, $300,000 value, and you stop making payments. You lose your job, something happens, and you can't make payments anymore. The bank is going to foreclose on your house. You're in it for $250,000. That's the bank's, the share of the house that the bank owns, and the house is valued at $300,000. So they're going to foreclose. You'll get kicked out. They'll sell the house. The bank will sell the house, and let's say it sells for $300,000. The bank will collect its $250,000, and you'll get the $50,000 extra, right? That it appreciated. So that's mortgages. Foreclosure, if you stop paying. Auto loans. This is also a secured debt because if you fail to pay your debt, your auto loan back, the bank will they will repossess your car. Okay. So these two here, secured debt, they tend to have lower interest rate than debt that is unsecured, right? So secured means that it's secured by collateral. So for mortgages, the collateral is the home. For auto loans, the collateral is the vehicle. You stop paying either forms of debt, and the bank's going to get something physical, something tangible. Okay. Auto loans are going to have a higher interest rate than mortgages because of the nature of that collateral, right? Mortgages tend to appreciate, or homes tend to appreciate. Cars tend to depreciate, tend to drop in value. And so, since the collateral for an auto loan is something that's going to lose value, banks tend to say, okay, we're going to charge you a slightly higher interest rate. So right now, under the current interest rate environment, mortgages I've seen in the 3 to 4% range, depending on the person's credit score. Could be higher if they have a bad credit score. Auto loans are going to be 4 to 6%, depending on a person's credit score. All right, so they're going to be slightly higher than your mortgages. The next type, student loans, credit card, and personal loans, these are all unsecured debt. So your interest rates that you're going to be charged on this debt is going to be higher, right? Student loan debt, what are they going to do if you stop paying your student loans? Take your degree? No, they can't. They can't take your education either. So it's unsecured debt. Credit cards, they're not going to go around and take all the stuff that you bought with the credit card, right? So it's unsecured debt. They have to try to get that value of what you owe them some other way. And typically it involves court. Okay. Y'all have heard of bankruptcy? So bankruptcy can help an individual who's gotten way over their head, way underwater, can help them restructure their mortgages, their auto loans, their credit card loans. And you don't want to declare bankruptcy. It will kill your credit score. But if that's your only option, all right. The one thing about student loans, though, they survive bankruptcy. So you cannot get student loans forgiven by declaring bankruptcy. You don't want to be like and you don't declare bankruptcy like Michael Scott. All right. All right. So answer the next couple questions and we'll move on.